It's time again for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the show covering fishing, hunting, and all sorts of outdoor recreation and destinations right here in the region you live and play in. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, makers of the world-famous wedding ring spinner, by Loophole, America's Optics Authority, and by Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter. Northwestern Outdoors is also sponsored by Wallowa County in Northeast Oregon, where you'll find both nature and fun. By Chad's Coast-Wide Sports Fishing, offering you the affordable Canadian fishing trip of a lifetime. And by Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors. So grab your fishing rod or hunting gear, load up the boat or lace up your boots, and let's head outdoors with your host, John Cruz.
We start off our broadcast this weekend welcoming some new listeners from the Cowboy State. That's right. You can now hear Northwestern Outdoors Radio Sunday mornings from 11 a.m. to noon on KSGT AM 1340 and FM 96.1 in Jackson, Wyoming. We are also now airing on a new station in the greater Idaho Falls area, KQEZ FM 106.3. It's all part of an expansion by Rich Broadcasting, which owns News Radio KID, where we've been airing for several years now in eastern Idaho. This means, and I have a hard time believing this myself, we are now airing on 58 stations every week in 5 states. Wow. Who would have thought when we started this show on News Radio 560 KPQ back in 2007 that we would be here today? Our congratulations goes out to the folks at News Radio KID and Rich Broadcasting for this big expansion, and thanks for bringing us along. We've got a great show for you this week. We're going to start off talking about bighorn sheep and how to hunt them with Brian Solon. He's the president of the Montana Wild Sheep Foundation. After we talk sheep, we're going to transition to monster lake trout as we tell you about a huge Mackinaw caught by guide Jeff Witkowski out of Lake Chelan in Washington State during an extended Max Minute. Sportsman Show season continues, and the biggest one taking place in the Evergreen State is the Washington Sportsman Show. It's taking place January 27th through the 31st at the Fairgrounds in Puyallup. The Northwestern Outdoors Radio crew is going to be there, and Joe Brennan with O'Laughlin Trade Shows is going to tell you all about the great stuff you're going to find here. From there, we've got some ice fishing reports from eastern Washington and northwest Montana. And continuing with fishing, we're going to chat with Roger Phillips with Idaho Fish and Game. Turns out they've got a brand new catch and release record program. That's right. You don't have to kill that trophy anymore if you think it's a record. You can catch it, release it, and still become a record holder. It's all brand new, and at the moment, it's a clean slate. There's no records that have been caught yet, so this promises to be a lot of fun for the next couple of years. Speaking of fun, our friend Brian Jennings has put together a parody song about those militia members occupying eastern Oregon's Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. I think you'll enjoy that, and as always, we've got upcoming events you'll want to know about, as well as our weekly trivia question, where you get a chance to win the $25 gift card we give away every week from Sportsman's Warehouse. But before we go any further, we've got another edition of Sportsman Spotlight for you with David Sparks. This week, we learn about a new fly fishing publication that may soon be hitting a newsstand near you. Sportsman Spotlight is brought to you every week by Chad's Coast-Wide Sports Fishing, offering quality, all-inclusive saltwater fishing trips for a very affordable price. Book your adventure at coastwidesportsfishing.com.
A new fishing magazine, David Sparks, Sportsman Spotlight. Regular contributor to the show, Josh Mills, talks about a brand new magazine.
There is a really cool project coming out in the next couple of months and a Kickstarter campaign that you can be a part of and be on the ground floor of. My good friend Zach Williams, who runs Swing the Fly magazine, which is an online publication currently, is set to go to print in the limited number edition of a really beautiful, artistic-driven magazine that's going to feature some of the best writers, names, and photographers in salmon and steelhead fishing, as well as spay casting and things like that. I think it's going to be a quarterly magazine that's really kind of more art. You know, it's not just a how-to. It's going to be really, really beautiful photography and everything like that. If you go to swingthefly.com, they'll have a link to their Kickstarter campaign where you can help contribute and fund the money they need in which to get off the ground floor. They've hit their Kickstarter goal, but they also have some amazing rewards for the folks who do contribute at specific levels, whether it be a few guided trips, fly fishing lines, so on and so forth, and that are really worth your time. And every little bit helps to keep the operation going. And because everybody knows that first year is the hardest thing to do to get it off the ground. It's not like he's begging for money. They are actually providing some really, really good gear for folks that do contribute and want to be a part of something awesome.
So check out swingthefly.com.
John Cruz here with Northwestern Outdoors. I want to take a moment to tell you about Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. If you're looking for a great opportunity to catch salmon, halibut, lingcod, red snapper off of Vancouver Island, you've got to head to Port Hardy this summer. The place to go, Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. They offer all-inclusive guided fishing trips. That's right, you just show up there. They've got your lodging taken care of. They've got your meals taken care of. They'll take you out fishing for 3 or 4 days, your choice, and they'll prepare your fish to take home. Best of all, because of the Canadian dollar exchange rate right now, you can do it at a very affordable price. Find out more at coastwidesportsfishing.com. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible fishing adventure at a very affordable price.
Leupold Gold Ring Optics are built to perform at the highest level, shot after shot, year after year. Our rifle scopes, binoculars, spotting scopes, rangefinders, and more always come through when you need them most. That's why our American-built products have a lifetime guarantee. Or as we like to say here at Leupold, they are guaranteed for a lifetime of performance, not a lifetime of replacement. Find out more about our top-quality gear and our lifetime guarantee at leupold.com. Leupold, America's optics authority.
Back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio, and next up we're talking to Brian Solon. He is the president of the Montana Wild Sheep Foundation, hails from the general Anaconda area. Is that correct, Brian?
Yeah, I'm originally an Anaconda native, but I actually live in Helena, Montana now.
Okay, well, still not too far up the road, so to speak. Let's talk a little bit about sheep today in the great state of Montana, and I guess we're going to start off with some real basics. What kind of sheep do you have there? There's Dall sheep, there's stone sheep, there's bighorn sheep. What type do you have, and where exactly do you find them in Montana?
Yeah, so the basics are 4 different types of sheep: Dall, stone, desert bighorns, and Rocky Mountain bighorns. In Montana, we have only the Rocky Mountain bighorn. As far as numbers go, generally speaking, bighorn numbers, kind of go back a bit in time. In the 1850s, there was roughly 2 million sheep in North America.
Wow.
Yeah, the low point hit about 1960. And they were down to somewhere between 15 to 18,000 sheep in all of North America.
Was it hunting, or was it disease, or intermixing between wild sheep and domestic sheep that caused this huge plunge in numbers?
A little bit of everything, but the primary problem has been disease from contact with domestic sheep. Settlers moved west and brought with them domestic sheep from Europe that carried diseases that our wild sheep just weren't able to overcome, and still aren't.
Well, and I was going to bring that up a little bit later, and I guess we'll just talk about it now. You still hear about herds of sheep here in the Northwest that just get wiped out by these diseases. What is the most common disease that does damage to these herds?
They're primarily all respiratory type diseases, a type of pneumonia, Pasteurella, but basically respiratory type diseases that can have just huge effects on wild sheep, and it tends to run through herds very rapidly, spreads very quickly depending on time of year, and can cut off 50% of a herd in a year.
Wow. Oh boy, that's something else. Let's go ahead and go back and talk about where you find Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep in Montana. Now, I know for a fact you can find them at the Bison National Refuge because I've seen them there, but where else are you going to find bighorn sheep in Montana?
Most of the sheep, John, are kind of along the Rocky Mountain front as far as numbers go. There are 40 distinct herds across Montana, and some in the Missouri Breaks area, some in southern Montana, but the primary numbers are along the Rocky Mountain front, quite a bit on public land.
And that brings up my next point. How healthy are sheep populations in Montana, and what kind of hunting opportunities are there for them?
Kind of back to that question of how sheep are doing, I mentioned in 1960 there was only 15 to 18,000 sheep, bighorn sheep in North America. Today there's about 80,000 bighorn sheep in North America. So they've made a good recovery. About 6,000 of those are in Montana.
Those are pretty good numbers. Folks, again, you're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Brian Solon. He's the president of the Montana Wild Sheep Foundation. And we're going to turn our attention from sheep populations and conservation and that sort of thing to actually hunting sheep. Now, I live in Washington State, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime tag if you want to try for one. What's it like in Montana? What are your chances for drawing a tag for a bighorn sheep?
Yeah, they're pretty slim, to be really honest. Montana is the mecca for big Rocky Mountain sheep. So the numbers to draw a tag, it's really tough. There's roughly about 140, 150 licenses annually, and we have over 20,000 applicants annually.
Well, better odds than Powerball.
That's right.
All right, so I understand that you actually are willing to help folks out that are lucky enough to draw a tag, that you'll actually help them out and help them find a sheep and help them with the hunt. Are you a licensed guide, or is this just something you do for the love of it?
I'm not a licensed guide, and I just love sheep hunting and being out there with people. It's such a great experience because, for the most part, if you're lucky, it's once in a lifetime experience.
Sure.
Montana, if you draw a tag, it's a 7-year wait before you can even apply again, and with those odds, it's more or less a once in a lifetime type of deal. Being able to help people out with that who haven't done it before, and it's just a great experience, and I just love sharing the mountain with people who will let me tag along with them.
Let's talk about a basic sheep hunt. Let's say I'm lucky enough to draw that tag. I'm going to call you is the first thing I'm going to do, and then you're going to tell me what sort of equipment I need. So in terms of a rifle, would you recommend a 270 to start off with?
That's as good as any, to be really honest. I think as far as sheep go, they're not a big-bodied animal like an elk, and so you don't necessarily need a big Magnum caliber. I suggest, whatever you shoot the best. It can be some long-range shooting at times, rifle-wise. We also take a few sheep with archery tackle.
Oh, wow.
And that's a lot of fun, and that's a challenge.
Now, what little I know about sheep hunting is that you spend a lot of time looking for the sheep. So I'm guessing a spotting scope and binoculars essential equipment?
Absolutely. They're the most essential equipment. Having good optics and looking over a lot of rounds. It's what you do. That's sheep hunting. It's not a sport where you shoot the first ram you see. You want to take an older age class animal. You want to take one that's mature and maybe at the end of its life cycle.
You get an old ram. I'm guessing the meat's going to be a little bit tough, but you're mainly doing it for the rack, the trophy, right?
Well, yeah. There certainly it's the trophy and having that trophy and basically being able to share that story of that hunt for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
It's an absolute tremendous trophy, but to be honest, sheep eats really well. I enjoy it.
Interesting. Even an old one.
Yeah, with anything, the older they get, typically the tougher the meat gets, just like an elk or deer. No different with a sheep. But for the most part, sheep are really tasty. They really similar taste to elk, and we enjoy them.
All right. Well, that is good to know. What other tips would you give to somebody? If you were to give one tip for a successful bighorn sheep hunt, what would it be? Apply. Once you get the tag, what's the other hint you're going to say so that they can actually get one?
Just take your time. Be patient. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Just take your time and have fun with it.
All right. If folks want to find out more about sheep in Montana and also about the conservation efforts that your group is doing, what's a website we can send them to find out about the Montana Wild Sheep Foundation?
Yeah, so our website is montanawsf.org. And you find some information about sheep and our annual fundraiser, March 18th and 19th in Helena. We have tickets, and we put on a really great show. We have some auction items, and we give away rifles. It's a great time.
All right, folks. Well, there you go. It's montanawsf.org. That's montanawsf.org. Go ahead and go to that website for the Montana Wild Sheep Foundation. Find out about their annual banquet, which I'm sure is going to be a lot of fun. Find out about the work they're doing, and find out more about Brian. And if you do get a tag, give him a ring. I'm sure he'd love to help you out. Brian, thanks for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
I'd like to tell you I just brought down that buck, but I didn't. I missed. And you know why I missed? Because of the scope I've got on my rifle. You see, my friends told me to get a loopholed rifle scope. Why? Well, because Leupold is America's optical authority. They make a huge variety of quality scopes for every need, and they make them right here in the Northwest. Unfortunately, I didn't listen. I used the cheap scope that came with this rifle when I bought it. And when it came time to pull the trigger, well, let's just say things were a little blurry. Now, I've got nothing to look forward to except a long, empty-handed walk back home. Next time I come out into the field, there's going to be a Leupold scope on my rifle. And next time, I'm not going to miss.
Leupold Rifle Scopes. Check out the whole line at leupold.com and look for them at a sporting goods store near you.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out in the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
A quality and affordable fishing adventure is waiting for you off Vancouver Island with Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. Located in Port Hardy, British Columbia, you can drive or fly to your all-inclusive guided fishing vacation. Whether you're after big salmon, heart-fighting halibut, or a cooler full of red snapper and lingcod, you can catch it all here. Better yet, your lodging, meals, and fish processing are all taken care of. Want one more reason to go? The price. With the Canadian dollar exchange rate where it is right now, your U.S. dollar goes further. Space is limited, so go to coastwidesportsfishing.com to book your trip. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible BC fishing adventure.
You're back with more of the great outdoors on Northwestern Outdoors Radio with John Cruz.
It's that time again. That's right. It's time for another Max Minute.
Fish on.
Brought to you every week from Max Lure Company. With us again, Lance Mers. Lance, I know you know about this. Jeff Witkowski, one of your pro guides. He's a guide up at Lake Chelan in north central Washington, and he caught a huge 27-pound, 40-inch lake trout a couple of weeks ago out of Lake Chelan there. Man, that is one heck of a fish. What do you like to use when you're fishing Lake Chelan or other Mackinac lakes?
Well, it was a dandy fish, John, but one of the things that I like to use is called the Double Whammy Super Series. It's kind of a version of a wedding ring, but it's got 2 hooks on it. And the Super Series comes in because we use a size 1/0 and a size 2 hook. So the profile is a lot bigger, which gives you the ability to fish for these lake trout.
Number one, lake trout are bigger fish. Number two, you're going to find them a lot deeper. So this is definitely a downrigger game if you're going to go ahead and troll one of these double whammies, because there's not a whole lot of weight to the lure itself.
No, there's not. But it does come with 7 different setups and 2 different sizes. But you can use basically any type of bait with this, and it's going to give you that higher profile visibility in the water.
All right, so there you go. Whether you're fishing Flathead Lake in Montana, one of the Panhandle Lakes in Idaho, or Lake Chelan, which, like I said, just gave up a huge 27-pounder to guide Jeff Witkowski. Mm-hmm. The Double Whammy Super may be the lure for you. Anything else you want to add before we go, Lance?
Well, just keep fishing. I think Jeff's got the potential to make the state record, which is 48 pounds caught out of Lake Chelan. So keep going, Jeff.
That's right, Jeff. We love you. You're a great guide. And if practice makes perfect, you're just about there.
That's the sound you hear when a fish hits the new Sonic bait fish from Max Lure Company. This metal lure can be cast, trolled, or jigged and will catch just about anything that swims in the sea, the river, or the lake. The Sonic bait fish has a unique vibration and flutter that can be rigged in 7 different ways. With all sorts of eye-catching colors and weights available, you'll be reaching for the Sonic bait fish as your go-to lure. It's the Sonic bait fish. And that's another fish on. Only from Max Lure Company.
Sonic booms not included with the Sonic Baitfish Strike unless you are fishing for jet fighters.
If you've ever been fishing in Mexico, you know how good it can be, and now you can fish there with the Real News. Take your choice of a trip to Baja's East Cape for roosterfish, marlin, and dorado. These trips are value priced, so you can stretch your dollars in fun. To find out more about fishing Mexico with the Real News, log on to therealnews.com or call 425-334-8966. Again, that's therealnews.com or 425-334-8966 for an incredible adventure.
It's Sportsman Showtime in Central Washington, and Schuler Productions once again has got 3 great shows coming your way. It starts off with the Tri-City Sportsman Show at the Track in Pasco, January 22nd through the 24th. Following that, the Central Washington Sportsman Show, February 19th through the 21st in the Yakima Sun Dome. And then this is the Wenatchee Sportsman Show at the Town Toyota Center, February 26th to the 28th. Find out more at SchulerProductions.com.
I fish lots of lakes, I fish them all year round. Oh, I fish lots of lakes, everywhere I'm bound. Can't say which lake's the best until I try. All the rest going fishing, fishing, fishing. Oh, I'll fish Maple Lake, French Lake, Grand Lake, Cedar Lake, Pleasant Lake, Clear Lake, Bass Lake, Otter Lake, Goose Lake, Gull Lake, Round Lake, Bear Lake, Rice Lake, Sugar Lake, Mud Lake, Long Lake, Ann Lake, Swan Lake, and Lake of the Woods. Oh, I fish
Next up on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we're talking to Joe Brennan with O'Laughlin Trade Shows about the biggest sportsman show in Washington. It's coming up really soon. It's the Washington Sportsman Show. It's taking place at the Washington State Fair Event Center in Puyallup. Joe, welcome to the show.
John, thank you. We're back again for the 28th year at the Washington Fairgrounds.
Well, I'll tell you what, again, like I said at the very beginning, this is far and away the largest sportsman show that takes place in Washington State. It's actually the second largest sportsman show that takes place in the Northwest. You know, the only one that's bigger is the one in Portland, but there's a lot going on at the Puyallup Fairgrounds. Why don't we start off by telling folks when the show's taking place this year and what the show hours are?
Yes, John, this year's show is January 27th through the 31st, Wednesday through Sunday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the hours are 12 noon to 8 p.m., and then Saturday is 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday is 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Washington State Fair and Event Center in Puyallup, Washington.
Joe, how many people on average attend this show every year? Are we talking like 30, 40,000 folks?
On average, this show draws about 40,000 show attendees. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's a little less, but the number we use is right around 40,000.
Well, there's so much to see at this show too. What are some of the big draws this year that people are going to enjoy? Besides, and we'll get into the seminars a little bit, but in terms of some of the big draws, what do you think is going to attract people this year?
Well, for the third year returning, we have the Cowboy Action Shooting Draw that is presented at the show. It's sponsored by Les Schwab, and the gentleman that presents that does a great job. He's trying to introduce people into the Cowboy Action Shooting. Every year he gets more and more participants, and we're looking forward to having that group back with us next year. Also, this upcoming year, Cabela's is sponsoring a ammunition sale. At the show, so people can come and buy different calibers of ammunition. That's going to be upstairs in the pavilion, and we did this down in our Portland show a year ago, and it was very successful. We're bringing it up to Washington this upcoming year.
Now, there's always a ton of guides, a ton of outfitters, not just from the Northwest, but really from all over the world. If you want to go hunting or fishing just about anywhere, you're going to find it here. But you've got some great seminars, too. I was looking at the seminar list, and I was very intrigued by some of the speakers you have this year.
Well, just to touch upon what you first said, yes, this show has 550 exhibitors, and a lot of those exhibitors are coming from around the world for their hunting and fishing guides and outfitters. The Northwest is definitely well represented in those exhibitors. And then amongst those exhibitors, like you mentioned, I do draw the seminar speakers from a lot of those exhibitors, and there is definitely some new topics at the show this upcoming year.
Well, maybe it's because I'm on a diet, but I naturally gravitated to the outdoor cooking section, and I saw you've got Tiffany Haugen, one of my favorite people in the world. You've got Herb Good, who not only is a great outdoors cook, but also a very, very fine salmon fisherman, and C-Dub Welch is back, too.
And we also have Roger Neufeld back. He is going to be presenting the sausage making, and he's going to take that to a different level to the more advanced people and techniques on sausage making, especially at home.
Who are some of the more popular speakers when it comes to the fishing seminars, Joe?
Well, I have Buzz Ramsey's going to be there for a couple days from Yakima Bait. There's Terry Rudnick, who's been with us quite a many years, speaking on saltwater. We also have Scott Haugen is doing a couple of fishing seminars. Bob Kratzer, he's a guide and Alaska outfitter. He guides on the Olympic Peninsula. I also have Dale Stevens, he's our tuna expert that comes in and does tuna seminars. And then there's a few people from Max Lure, Lance Mers and Keith Jensen. Right. And they're doing some great talks on kokanee as well as walleye seminars. And then this year, I have a couple people from the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife that are going to talk about fishing the South Puget Sound for salmon.
I also noticed somebody you have from the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife is actually going to be talking about pheasant hunting in western Washington, which if you're a pheasant hunter, folks, you're not going to want to miss this one. So there's hunting seminars, fishing seminars, outdoor cooking seminars, and we can't leave without talking about what's going on for the kids. I know you always have stuff going on for the kids, too.
Well, we do, and again, our hallmark feature is our free kids trout pond. And that's open every day. Kids, all gear is provided. It's catch or release. We encourage the kids to take those fish home because we want to have them all-around experience with the fish. This year in camp cooking, C-Dub is doing one of his topics is cooking for kids, with a Dutch oven.
Nice.
So it's recipes kids can do with a Dutch oven. So that's very intriguing. The other activity is the archery down in the Showplex. The the Skookum Archer Club from the local archery club will be presenting, these kids, teaching them how to shoot an arrow. And then I think, again, the other things kids can participate in, depending on their age, is the Cowboy Fast Draw. Also, we want to encourage those kids to go upstairs in the pavilion and take in the Ducks Unlimited. They have the Green Wing program, and then also the Heads and Horns. That's a great feature I think the kids can take in, too, just to generate the interest in hunting.
Well, and that Head and Horns, that's not just for the kids. I think a lot of adults will be interested in that, too. Joe, one more thing I've got to ask you about is how much does it cost to get into the show?
Yes, John, the admission prices is $12 for adults. Juniors 6 to 16 are $5, and children under 5 are admitted free. And there's also an $18 two-day pass that's also available, John.
Well, as big as this show is, that two-day pass may well be a very good investment.
Absolutely. We hope so.
We probably need to go ahead and talk about how folks can get a discount, too.
Well, again, the discount coupons are available on our website, thesportshows.com. Also, Baxter Auto Parts, Les Schwab also has discount coupons, and but I think, again, the best place for people would be our website.
That's Joe Brennan, folks. He's talking about the Washington Sportsman Show, the biggest show taking place in Washington State. It's going to happen January 27th through the 31st at the Washington State Fair Event Center in Puyallup, Washington. We're going to be there. That's right. Northwestern Outdoors Radio is going to be there. We'll have a booth. Drop on by. If you sign up for the Mac Attack newsletter, you're entered to win for a chance to get a $100 gift certificate from Max Lure and a brand new Striker stove from Camp Chef. One more time, January 27th through the 31st, it's the Washington Sportsman Show. Find out more and get a discount coupon at the website, thesportshows.com. That's thesportshows.com. Joe, thanks for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
John, appreciate the opportunity.
Stick around. We've got a lot more coming your way on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, and let's leave this segment by listening to a great song from John Kurkowski. He writes a lot of songs about fishing, and this one's called I Fish Everywhere.
Grand Lake, Cedar Lake, Pleasant Lake, Clear Lake, Bass Lake, Collar Lake, Goose Lake, Gull Lake, Round Lake, Pearl Lake, Rice Lake, Sugar Lake, Mud Lake, Long Lake, Ant Lake, Swan Lake, Lake of the Woods. Oh, I fish everywhere.
When it comes to camping, I like to relax, but I was getting stressed about camp cooking. Then I discovered the Camp Chef Portable Outdoor Oven. This junior-sized oven works with a small propane bottle and is perfect for family camping trips. With a matchless ignition, heating up to 400 degrees, and space to put a 9x13-inch pan, I can cook cinnamon rolls for breakfast, casseroles for dinner, and pie for dessert. Look for the Portable Outdoor Oven at a store near you or online at campchef.com. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
Do you want to go fishing with an actual legend? You can. His name's Ed Iman. He will take you fishing for walleye, for sturgeon, for steelhead, and smallmouth bass on the Columbia River between the Dalles Dam and McNary Dam.
I'm Ed Iman, and I'd like to take you fishing on the mighty Columbia River.
That's Ed Hyman. Give him a call at 541-298-3753. 541-298-3753. Go fishing with Ed at 541-298-3753.
Wake up to winter in Wallowa County. Grab your camera and don your skis for some Nordic skiing adventure at Salt Creek Summit or Wallowa Lake. Or spend the day on the family-friendly slopes of Fergie Ridge. Or slip into a set of skates and enjoy some time on the ice at our outdoor ice rink. Need to warm up? Then grab a cup of coffee or hot chocolate at one of our fine coffee and confectionery shops. And when evening comes, enjoy some of Wallowa County's fine dining and gaze at the stars before you dream of tomorrow's adventures. Your winter adventure begins at www.wallawacountychamber.com.
Wetlands are some of the most important ecosystems on Earth. But our wetlands are quickly disappearing. Find out how you can help. Join Ducks Unlimited today.
Hey guys, stop. Grab your bait and listen. Ice is on the lake, so we're going fishing. With me is my best friend Mike. We're hitting Lake Boygan for the trophy fight. Will I catch a perch? Hey, I guess so. I got some new jigs and a brand new Zebco. I loaded up the truck with all my new gear. Mike got the bait, I bought the beer. Sorrel, I got a nice pair of boots to go with my hat and my blazer and suit. But that ain't enough, so I threw in 3 pair of heavy-duty flannel thermal underwear. Drilling, the ice is half a foot thick. My gas-powered ice auger ought to do the trick. If I want to eat crap, I gotta catch dinner. Drop my line in the hole with the minnow and the spinner.
It's time again for news and reports from the field, brought to you every week by Mardon Resort at Eastern Washington's Potholes Reservoir. Ice fishing has started up at the Lynn Coulee on the southeastern end of Potholes Reservoir. Ice augers are being shipped to the store at Mardon Resort, and they are now for sale. They've got a good supply of Swedish pimples, which is a lure, not a complexion problem, they say, and fresh maggots and grubs on hand. Another lure to try is Max Lure Sonic Baitfish. You'll be going after perch, walleye, and even the occasional burbot if you fish out here. As of last weekend, there was 4 inches of ice on the water, and it's getting thicker by the day. Drop by the store at Mardon Resort for more details and to stock up on the fishing tackle you'll need to succeed. And if you want to make it a weekend, you can stay at a park cottage, a camper cabin, motel room, or bring your RV. Find out more at mardonresort.com. That's mardonresort.com, where the fish bite, but we don't. We've got bad news out of western Washington, where hoof rot disease has been discovered in an elk in Skagit County. According to the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, tests from an elk killed in a vehicle collision near Cedro-Woolley came back positive for this animal, which is part of the North Cascades herd that numbers close to 1,000 elk. The disease, which deforms the hooves of the animal, was first found in elk from the Mount St. Helens and the Willapa Hills elk herds in southwest Washington about 15 years ago. This is the first time it's been discovered in this part of the state, and officials don't know whether it will spread among the North Cascades herd or not. We've got better news from Kalispell, Montana, where the Smith Lake Ice Fishing Derby on December 26th attracted over 300 anglers. Participants caught a whole bunch of pike, as well as some perch, using jigs tipped with maggots or smelt. The largest pike caught in the Derby was reeled in by 4-year-old Gage Crawford, and the biggest perch, weighing just over a pound, was caught by Cody Tveit. The event is put on by the Sunriser Lions Club as a public service. Kids are encouraged to participate, and boy, do they. Next up on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we've got something really exciting and innovative coming at you from the state of Idaho, where you can now have a record fish that you not only catch, but you actually release. With us here to tell us more about this new program is Roger Phillips with Idaho Fish and Game. Roger, glad to have you back on the show.
Thank you, John.
So Roger, catch and release records. How does this program work?
Well, pretty straightforward. Take a picture of a fish with a tape measure behind it so that we can clearly see how long it is. And considering the record book is blank right now, submit it and you have a state record.
So if I entered a 10-inch bluegill on day one, I could say I'm a record holder. At least there's a chance.
Oh, no, it definitely would be. And, 10-inch bluegill, that's a pretty nice fish.
I know.
That might even stick around for a while.
And that's what's so exciting about this. It's a clean slate, so a lot of people are going to hold on to the record for a short time, and then it's going to be passed, and eventually things will settle out, and you'll have those records that are going to stand the test of time. But boy, initially, for the first few years, there's going to be a whole bunch of anglers with record fish, aren't there?
Oh yeah, we're certainly looking forward to that. And you know, for a record to be broken, it has to be a half-inch larger than the previous record, except for white sturgeon would have to be 2 inches. But other than that, you can see, you're right, it's a pretty open playing field. And I might add, we added 2 state records in the last couple of years, coho salmon, which were, you know, we hadn't had a sports season on in forever, so that one was added. And then tiger trout, which were planted here in the state a couple years ago. And anyway, the long story short is, yeah, we get a lot of excitement coming from that. And now that we have the entire record book open, we just should have a really good time here for the next couple of years.
You know, as an aside, I should say your Idaho anglers are pretty good at catching tiger trout, because the Washington State tiger trout record is held by an Idaho angler as well that we talked to on the show. So
that's good to hear.
Getting back to this, now this is different. Usually when it comes to records, it's all about weight. But on this, it's all about length and a photo of you and the angler and the tape measure, and I presume you have to have a witness too.
That is correct. And we have on our website, we have the full rules, and people can actually fill out an application there online and submit it that way.
So how do you prevent cheating if somebody, we're just going to say, catches a fish in Oregon and then brings it into Idaho? How do you prevent that?
Let's just say it's going to be a learning process. We can't run around and police every one of them. We expect people to be on their honor with this thing. It's a fun thing. There are no cash or prizes. So, you know, if we're going to stick to the good nature of anglers, and we don't have the greatest reputation for honesty, but at the same time, we're asking them to step out of the norm and, you know, play it straight by the rules.
Okay. Well, again, I think it's going to be a lot of fun as well. One other rule we need to talk about here is when it comes to sturgeon, salmon, and steelhead, you know, species that we all want to conserve and take care of when it comes to releasing them properly. Those photos, the fish has to be in the water, right?
That is correct.
And the other fish, the perch, the bass, the more hardy fish, it's okay to take those out?
Well, yeah, all fish should still, I mean, like I say, this is all fun, but all fish should be handled carefully when you're taking those pictures. So we stress people, the point of a catch and release record is that the fish is released and lives another day. So if you're killing it, it kind of defeats the purpose of it.
I agree completely. And again, folks, that fish that you catch and release, that's a record today, you could catch again a couple months down the line or a year down the line, and you just got a new record. So this sounds like a whole bunch of fun. Again, it's a clean slate. If you haven't thought of going to Idaho before, this might be the year to do it, because you might just come home with at least a picture of a record fish. Roger, thanks for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John.
Finally, I used to think of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge south of Burns, Oregon as a great place to go bird watching and fishing. But these days, everybody associates the refuge some angry ranchers and militia members who seem intent on starting another sagebrush rebellion over federal control of public lands versus the rights of ranchers to graze their cattle on them. Ammon Bundy has been the spokesman for a militia group that took over the refuge. Some people support what he and his fellow militia members are doing, but it's fair to say more folks think they are just silly, and they've derisively been calling the group Al-Qaeda. One person joining in this fun is Brian Jennings, who hails from Bend, Oregon. He's a member of the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers and also has quite a background in radio, something he put to good use to put this little song together about Bundy and company.
Guns and ammo, boots and camo, things in Oregon just might go blammo. Once a place for wildlife, now it's a place for day and night life. Untraditional armed militia will make demands from their perch up in the hills. Don't want rifles or stun guns, they just want Mountain Dew and fun yuns. Try to understand it. Them there's no match for. They will give up when they find out that they're missing the bachelor. Guns and ammo, boots and camo. Taxpayers say it's time for them to go. Schools are out of service, and in Burns the sheep are kind of nervous.
It's Sportsman Showtime in Central Washington, and Schuler Productions once again has got 3 great shows coming your way. It starts off with the Tri-City Sportsman Show at the Track in Pasco, January 22nd through the 24th. Following that, the Central Washington Sportsman Show, February 19th through the 21st in the Yakima Sundome. And then this is the Wenatchee Sportsman Show at the Town Toyota Center, February 26th to the 28th. Find out more at SchulerProductions.com.
Are you ready for some real adventure? Then wake up to winter in Wallowa County. Grab your camera, put on your snowshoes, and take a professionally guided hike into the quiet solitude and breathtakingly rugged beauty of the Eagle Cap Wilderness. Or sleep under the stars and test your mettle with some winter camping and ice fishing for kokanee and trout at Wallowa Lake. Or bring your snowmobile to Salt Creek Summit and explore Wallowa County on 150 miles of Northeast Oregon's best trails. Your outdoor winter adventure begins at www.wallawacountychambers.com.
Springtime is prime time to head to Mardon Resort to fish, hike, boat, and see wildlife. Park your RV, pitch a tent, or rent a wonderful park cottage at Central Washington's Potholes Reservoir and go play outside. When it comes to relaxing and enjoying the outdoors, Mardon is the place to be. To find out more, log on to mardonresort.com. That's mardonresort.com to book your next getaway, where the fish bite, but we don't.
Looking for a quality fishing adventure that won't break the bank? Then head to Canada for an all-inclusive fishing vacation with Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. Big salmon, halibut, snapper, and lingcod are waiting for you off Vancouver Island. But space is limited, so book now at coastwidesportsfishing.com. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands. We've helped ban the use of drones for hunting. We help repair wildlife corridors and key riparian areas. We speak up against illegal ATV use. We collaborate with elected leaders to keep public lands in public hands. We're Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, with membership in all 50 states and Canada. Please join this dynamic conservation group. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out in the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
We've got time for one more shot of Northwestern Outdoors Radio with John Cruz.
Monday the 18th is Martin Luther King Day. And if you've got it off, you may want to go to a national forest or national park because it's a fee-free day. That's right, you don't have to pay to get in. It's an even better deal at Washington State Parks because they're offering fee-free days on both Sunday the 17th and Monday the 18th. It's Military and Public Safety Appreciation Day at a Sportsman's Warehouse store near you next Saturday the 23rd. If you serve or have served in the military or as a firefighter, law enforcement officer, or paramedic, bring proof of that with you and receive discounts of up to 20% off items in the store. It's just one way America's premier outfitter says thank you for your service. As we told you earlier in the show, the Washington Sportsman Show is taking place at the State Fairgrounds in Puyallup, January 27th through the 31st. It's the second biggest show in the Northwest. We're going to have a booth there. I hope you'll drop by because if you do and sign up for the Macatech newsletter, you're entered for a chance to win a $100 gift certificate from Max Lure and a brand new Striker stove, perfect for the backcountry from Camp Chef. By the way, if you are looking for a discount, stop by the Sportsman's Warehouse store in Wenatchee, go to the customer service desk, and ask for one of the $2 discount coupons that I left there for our listeners. And I'd like to remind you again about the Wenatchee Sports Association Game Feed. I'll be the MC for this event, which is both a fundraiser for this great organization and an opportunity to enjoy wild game prepared in a number of delicious ways. February 20th is the date. The location is the Sportsplex in Wenatchee. Buy your tickets, which includes a year-long membership to the Wenatchee Sportsman's Association at Sportsman's Warehouse, Hooked on Toys, or online at wsasssoc.org. That's wsasssoc.org. And now, it's time for your trivia question of the week and your chance to win a gift card from Sportsman's Warehouse. When you see this common American bird here in the Northwest, you know spring is not far away. It's a medium-sized bird with an orange belly. A lot of folks think of this bird when they think of the phrase, the early bird gets the worm. It's also known to belt out birdsong as dawn turns to sunrise in the morning. What bird are we talking about here? If you know, contact us on our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Just go to the post where we've got this question, let us know your answer, or you can go to our website, northwesternoutdoors.com. Simply go to the Contact Us page, give us your answer, and you are entered for a chance to win the $25 gift card we give away every week. While you're on the web, log on to RenoViolaOutdoors.com. It's the home of WRVO Radio. It's an internet station that is nothing but outdoors programming from here in North America, both Canada and the US of A. There's over 30 programs, and it is a ton of fun to listen to. The website again is RenoViolaOutdoors.com. It's the home of WRVO Radio, and catch our show there too. Speaking of shows, I'll be at SHOT Show in Las Vegas this week, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's new in the shooting sports industry. I can't wait to go, and can't wait to tell you about all of this in the weeks ahead. We are out of time, but until next time, take care, God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.